I arrived on Black Swan Lane just after midnight, rain slicing the gaslight. The bell in St. Bartholomew struck one, and the cobbles steamed under my boots. They called me to a doorway where oil lamps guttered and a crowd kept its distance. A woman cried once, then fell mute beneath a shawl of wet hair. The body lay half on the step, a pale face rimed with rain. I crouched, inhaling tobacco and damp wool, listening for any sound beyond the bell. A single cigar but rested by the hand as if dropped in haste. Ash clung like dark snow. Someone had been here and left in haste. The deceased wore a brooch I recognized from a casebook of lost heirlooms. A name whispered in my mind, Mrs. Davenant. Her life had tangled with too many secrets. I left instructions for the constable and walked the lane. A shadow watched from a shuttered window. The bell tolled again, and I felt the first thread of danger. At dawn I visited the Davenant lodgings. The landlady's kettle sang and her hands trembled. She recited Mrs. Davenant's evenings like an old ritual. Neighbors spoke of nocturnal visitors and hushed arguments. A grocer swore he saw a man leave with a coat turned inside out beneath the lamp last week. I examined the bedroom. The scent of violet water and stale brandy lingered. A writing desk bore a half-penned letter, the ink blurred by recent tears. The letter spoke of a meeting at the Black Swan Inn, midnight, and a name I had not expected, E. Cartwright. I wrote the name into my notebook like a new bruise. Outside, a constable produced a scrap of fabric with a crest. A single thread matched the brooch's pattern. Connections formed in the hush between heartbeats. I left the Davenant rooms with a name and a torn thread. The lane exhaled cold air. The inn's lantern swung in the distance like a slow, beckoning eye. The inn smelled of peat smoke and boiled beef. Patrons kept their hats low. Behind the bar, the innkeeper polished a glass as if polishing patience itself. I ordered coffee and watched. A man at the hearth kept glancing at the door, fingers worrying a silver case. His jaw was a map of old debts. I spoke the name Cartwright low. The man flinched and rose as if the floor had burned him. He denied knowing Mrs. Davenant, which was either truth or a practiced lie. Outside, rain started again. I followed a fresh trail to a service yard where a stable boy swore he saw a cloaked stranger slip toward the river. His teeth chattered in the cold. On a wharf post I found fresh ash and a scrap of a carriage ticket stamped with an aristocratic crest. The knight had carried a passenger with a practiced hand. I pocketed the ticket and watched shadows peel from doorway to doorway. Someone followed my steps. When I turned, only the river answered, but the tide had changed. The carriage road to Cartwright Manor smelled of wet leaves and coach oil. An iron gate swung wide as if expecting trouble. A butler watched without surprise. Inside, a portrait gallery hummed with old eyes. Cartwright met me like the last gasp of an old storm, controlled, dangerous, and polite as the bullet that waits in the chamber. He denied all knowledge, yet admitted a meeting on the riverbank. He said Mrs. Davenant sought money and protection. His voice never cracked, but his hands betrayed him. A maid produced a letter hidden beneath a floorboard. The ink named a rendezvous at midnight on Black Swan Lane and mentioned a sum large enough to move reputations. I confronted Cartwright gently. He grew small in the hall of his ancestors. He admitted lending money to Mrs. Davenant but swore he would never harm her. His eyes found a secret door. We opened the hidden chamber to find a trunk of receipts and a gentleman's monogrammed handkerchief. The crest matched the ticket. Someone close wore two faces. I set a careful trap at Black Swan Lane, arranging for a late summons and letting Cartwright feel the slightest prickle of suspicion. Night came heavy and slow. At the appointed hour, a figure slipped from the shadow, a woman cloaked, her gait familiar from the Davenant rooms. She stopped, listening for the bell, and exhaled smoke from a small pipe. Cartwright arrived not as a storm, but as a gentleman. He moved toward the woman, voice calm, hands open. I stepped from concealment and watched the tremor in his jaw. Words were exchanged. The knight listened. The woman produced a second brooch, identical to the one on the corpse, and accused Cartwright of betrayal with a voice that did not tremble. Cartwright's composure cracked into confession. He admitted an argument, a shove, a desperate retreat. He swore he never meant death. The lane kept its judgment in the puddles. I placed him under arrest as the first light of grey smeared the horizon. The bell tolled softly. I let the lane keep one secret, that the night drinks truth slowly. There will be more. Please like and subscribe.